Okay, ladies and gentlemen, up to this point in our course, we've talked a lot about trading, about our money management and other skills that we've learned. Now it's time to start learning how to trade. And we're going to talk about 6 trading setups. The first one that we're going to talk about is called a trend trade. So what is a trend trade? A trend trade is when we see a stock going in one direction for a long period of time. Here, we can clearly see that this stock, AAIO, is telling us that it is in an uptrend. The first rule for a trend trade is that we don't enter into a trend trade until at least 9:45. If we look at the time on the chart here, this is about 9:30 in the stock. And we can see all this mess here. It's going up, it's going down. It has not established any clear trend. But here, right around 10:30, this stock has already told us now that it's in a trend. So let's talk about how we're going to execute a trend trade. Once we've established that the stock is in a trend, now we're going to use our 9 and our 15 EMA. Our 9 and our 15 EMA. And the way we're going to enter into a trend trade is when the stock pulls back to our 9 or 15 EMA, we are going to enter the trade with a limit order. So I'm going to show you the exact spot on the chart. If we look right here and right here, and this price is around $46.50. Okay, so the way we entered into this trade is we buy 100 shares when the stock hits our 9, and we buy 200 shares when the stock hits our 15 EMA. So we bought 100 shares at $46.50, and we bought 200 shares at $46.30. We have now entered into a full trend trade. And we're entering these trend trade again with limit orders when the stock pulls back and hits our 9 and 15 EMA. We now have a total of 300 shares, and our average on those 300 shares is $46.40. Great. We are in a trend trade. We have established what our price is. The first thing that we're going to do, as we're going to do in any trade that we do, is put in our stop order. And we are not going to risk more than, this is a $45 stock. Remember, our stops are going to be about 1%. So let's say we're going to risk 50 cents on this trade. If this stock, and we're long at $46.40, goes down to $45.90, we will exit this trade. That will mean that it will break this trend right here by more than 50 cents. So we're risking $150 on this trade. The way we're going to exit a trend trade, once we've entered into a full trend trade with 300 shares, is we're going to exit this trade in stages, 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. And in a $46 stock, once this stock reaches the price of $46.90, we will sell 100 shares. So let's look at the chart for a second. We have entered the trade right here. We are looking to make 50 cents on our first 100 shares, which would put us right about there. So we have now sold 100 shares for a 50-cent profit, and we have made $50 on that. The second time we're going to exit this trade now is when the stock has gone up another 50 cents. That would put the price at $47.40. We would sell another 100 shares, and that would give us a profit of $100 on the second lot of this trade. Let's go take a look at the chart. We sold one at $46.90. We sold one at $47.40. Great. Now we have put some profit in the bank. We're up $150, and we have 100 shares of this trade left. We will not exit this last 100 shares of our trade until the stock tells us that it's going to break the trend. And we're going to look back at the chart for 1 second, and if we come all the way up here, and I'll write the exact price for you guys in a couple of seconds, at this point we can see that the stock now has broken the trend. This is where we're going to exit the last 100 shares of our trade. Keep in mind also, and this is very, very important, we started entering this trade and our average was $46.40. We're going to have a 50-cent stop in this at the beginning. But what we're going to do in a trend trade to lock in profit, as this trend keeps going higher, we are going to keep raising our stop order to lock in profit. So when we get all the way up to where this stop started to break the trend, and we're going to get the exact price, that is going to be about where it broke the trend right here, $48.50. That is where we will get stopped out on our last 100 shares. And on that last 100 shares, we will make $200 or 2 points. So this is a trade that we executed with 300 shares of stock, basically a beginning entry for trading. And on this trade, we made a total of $350. It took, if we look at the time frame in here, we got in this trade at about 11 o'clock, and we exit our last 100 shares here, which is about 2:30. We are now done with the trade. One very important thing about trend trades, and this is a perfect illustration of that, we never enter into a trend trade after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And look what happened here. Once this stock broke the trend, and this is exactly, guys, 3 o'clock, it did nothing but go down for the rest of the day. So that's why it's very, very important to follow all of the rules of the trend trade. And I want to go through them one more time, just to make this clear. Every trade that we talk about in this next lesson, we're going to go over in great detail and very, very slowly. This is our bread and butter. This is how we're making our money. So let's just go over the important rules again for a trend trade. Number one, we want to establish that a stock is in a trend. We can clearly see that that has been established. Number two, we wait for the stock now to pull back to our 9 and 15 moving averages. We enter the trades with limit orders, immediately put our stop order in for our 50-cent risk, and we're going to put a stop order in every single trade that we do. Once we have established a full trend trade of 300 shares, we are going to sell that 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. In a $45 stock, up 50 cents we sell 1, up $1 we sell 2, and we do not sell the last 100 shares of our stock until it tells us it's going to break the trend. When we find trend trades, these are going to be our most profitable trades. Because basically what we want to do is try to get in these trends as early as possible in the day and just ride them out for the rest of the day. Now let's look at another example of a trend trade.